I'm Pastor Willie. We're at Crossroads Church, and we're going to pray because prayer is the beginning of everything, it's the middle of everything, and it's the end of everything. And when God's people pray, God answers and moves. He will heal our land, save people. So God calls us to pray. The devil doesn't want us to pray, so he hinders us from praying. Puts all kinds of things in our ways. But you guys made it here. You guys who are watching are there, and we're going to pray today. And we're looking at the power of application. You know, we read the Bible, and we learn something. We learn something. And maybe we could pass a test because we heard it before. And then, well, we need not only just to learn it, hear it, but we need to see it in application in somebody's life. And they say, oh, that's what that looks like. And we're following the life of Peter, and Peter is getting his first lesson from Jesus, and it's about humility. Lesson number one in the Christian life is humility, surrendering to God's will, not your own will. That's lesson number one. Matthew chapter 5, verse 1. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So that's lesson number one. So he hears it, and then he sees Jesus living that way. So he understands it. Then he fails in applying it to his life, and failure is one of the greatest teachers we can have in life. Have you found that in your life? I have. When I fail, I learn. It's not failing that matters. It's what you do when you fail, what you learn from what you failed. You fail 100 times, but if you learn something each time, that's progress, right? That's progress. Satan would have you give up, but you say, no, I'm progressing. I'm learning each time. I'm learning from my failure. Then you get to the point where you start to apply. And that's when there's power in your life. People see you. Wow, I see that person. They are applying this word. I see what a humble life is like. I see what a life that's surrendered to God is like. I see a life that puts others first. I see what that is like. So Peter, even though he failed miserably a number of times, he's finally learned the lesson. And in 1 Peter, he's now teaching others, teaching us today, and teaching many people. Because when you apply it, that qualifies you to teach it. When you don't apply it, you're not qualified to teach it. You know what that's called? Hypocrisy. When you teach people things, but you don't apply it yourself. And that actually can be used by Satan to destroy people's faith. So he's at a place where now he can teach because he's applying it in his life. And when application and your words go together, that's what they call a synergy. There's power. There's power. And sometimes it takes us a long time to get to that point through many ups and downs where we can get to the point where our life matches our message. And that's where God wants us. And so it's 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 13 through 17, he's teaching. He's teaching about how to live. He's teaching about humility, about submission, surrender. How many like to submit? It's not something we naturally like to do, but submission to God's will is power. And so this is what he says in 1 Peter 2, 11, I'm going to start at 11 through 17. Dear friends, I urge you as foreigners and exiles to abstain from sinful desires which wage war against your soul. So we are foreigners. Any of you foreigners here? You're a foreigner? We're all foreigners. So you're following Jesus, the world, that you're not of the world. You're in the world, but you're not of the world. Our home is somewhere else. Where is our home? Our home is with Christ. We're part of his kingdom. I'm not American. You're not Lebanese. You're not Italian. We are children of God. That's our home. That's we're kingdom. We're kingdom people. So we're foreigners and exiles. Abstain from sinful desires which wage war against your soul. So we're foreigners, but there's a war going on inside of us between our flesh and our spirit. As Paul said, he wants to do something, but he finds another law at work in his members of his body. So that's the reality we live in. So then he says in verse 12, live. This is application. You have to live this way, not talk this way. He didn't say, so talk a good talk. No, live, walk the walk. It says, live such good lives among the pagans. So we don't separate. We don't move to a community, buy a big tract of land and move to a community in Texas where we all just live together, away from the world. That's not what God wants. He wants us to live for Him among the pagans, with the unbelieving people. He wants to be with them so we can impact them. Live such good lives among the pagans that though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day He visits us. And that reminds me of Matthew 5:16, right? Where Jesus says, Matthew 5:16, He says, talking about being the salt of the world, it says, in the same way, let your light shine before others, they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So we let our light shine in the darkness. People see our light, and they're drawn to God. We don't live separate. We live among people, but inside we are separated unto God. And then the next word is the famous word, he says, submit. Submit. This is where humility comes in. Submit yourself for the Lord's sake to every human authority. We're supposed to submit to every human authority. Why? For the sake of God. Because it's a testimony to God if we submit to human authorities. We're not proud and we're going to fight against human authorities. We're not leading a revolution. We're trying to influence them, so we follow the rules. We pay taxes. We help our community. We commit ourselves to people. And he says, submit yourself for the Lord's sake to every human authority, whether to the emperor, as to the supreme authority. Now, in the United States right now, there's a lot of political fighting. But a real Christian submits to whoever the president is and doesn't fight. Yes, you can vote. That's the system. We vote, but we submit to whoever is in authority. We don't revolt. We don't fight. We submit. And that is letting our light shine before others so they can see that we're people under submission. Or to governors. So we're in New Jersey. You may like Governor Murphy, you may not, but as Christians, we submit to him. We recognize his authority. We don't do things that violate our conscience. We work to change things, but we submit to all authorities. And then in verse 15, it says, the reason. For it is God's will that by doing good you should silence the ignorant talk of foolish people. Live as free people, but do not use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. Live as God's slaves. Show proper respect to everyone. Love the family of believers. Fear God. Honor the emperor. That's a good summary of how to live. Show respect to everybody. Even people you don't agree with. Even people you don't like. Show them respect. Show them respect. That's letting your light shine before others. Treat them properly. Love the family of believers. We are family here. If you're a part of a church, you're a family of believers. Fear God. Honor the emperor. Now at that time, the emperor wasn't a Christian. Wasn't even pretending to be a Christian. The emperor thought he was God. That's the emperor he's talking about. They had false idols everywhere. The emperor was violent, killing people. And Peter's saying, honor the emperor. Peter would eventually get killed by the government of that emperor. But he said, honor the emperor. Submit to their authority. So that's a good summary of how to live. Show everyone respect. Love the family of believers. Fear God. And honor the emperor. And if we do that, our light will shine before others. And one way we do that is by praying for those in authority, by praying for the church, and by praying for others in our life who need prayer. So if you need prayer today, I encourage you to click on the link. We'll be happy to pray for you. We'll be happy to lift your requests up. And I encourage you, wherever you are, gather with one or two other people and pray. And pray for the emperor. And I'm going to finish my broadcast on Facebook Live today and have my wonderful assistant come and turn off the broadcast. And as always, we're here to serve you at Crossroads Church, and we are here on Sundays at 10 and 11:30. Love to have you join us or watch at 11:30 on our live stream. And if you anytime need a prayer request, that link there is open, and you can leave a comment or click the link. God bless you.